So actually, I do not follow the regular academic career to become a professor, right? Making games was just a childhood thing I started. And I started that 45 years ago. I'm creating computer games since 45 years, 35 years now as a professional, 25 years I teach that, and the last 15 years I'm a professor. Ich bin Beamter. Okay. And actually, from the start, I was always interested in the learning aspects of playing. And I mean, who of you learned? You of you have learned to walk. Who can walk? Okay. Who taught you? Who taught you walking? I mean, when you were given birth, when you came to this planet, you weren't able to walk. Somehow you just started it, and you fell a lot, and you hurt yourself a lot, but still you kept on going, and at some point you were able to walk, but nobody taught you. You just did it from your own impulse. You just wanted to do it, and you saw others walking, so apparently maybe you can do that too. And you just did it. Who can talk? Everybody can talk, I guess. You can listen to me and you hear me. Who taught you? Nobody really taught you, right? You just tried, and then you notice that people react, and then you notice that actually the reaction you get is what you wanted or not, and then you adjusted your talking abilities. And you're probably pretty good at your mother tongue, and maybe you even learned 2 languages at the same time or 3. But there was nobody sitting you down and said, now listen, I teach you how to talk. And that's the way we human beings actually work. This is our fundamental program. We actually don't need to be taught. We just learn by doing the things that are fun that we want to do, okay? Our problem in our society since the Industrial Revolution is that at the age of 6 we say, okay, stop that now, sit down, and now we teach you, okay? And you never since then have that high steep learning curve that you had like the first 6 years of your life, because you learned all the fundamental skills playfully. And that's our hardwired program that school is trying to negate, and then we have to try to learn that back again, learning with fun. Playing and learning is the 2 sides of the same coin. And looking at this from the other point is, you can't play without learning. If you play a computer game, no matter which, it doesn't have to be a serious game. No matter which game you play, you learn how to play this game. You learn how that world works, how things work in this world, what you need to do to get the reaction that you wanted, just as you did when you talked and you walked, okay? So you can't separate learning and playing. It's just basically the same stuff. You can't try to separate learning from playing. That's what they do in school and in university. I guess all of you, or you have like an academic education or are in the university at this point of time studying. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of sad because it's very efficient to learn while playing. That just happens. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Kiel. I was invited by a team to help them do some counseling for them. They wanted to create serious games. And it was interesting because they knew, okay, there's the professor doing games coming to us, and then everybody started on telling me their gaming history. And it was also, it's the same thing you experience all the time. People tell me stories, what they experienced in games, really in detail, that they learned or experienced 30 years ago. There is, remember exactly, I was there in that game and I did this and I got like the chainsaw here, and then I found the fuel, and then I went to this place and I mixed the things together and it worked. So these things really stick. When you learn them with fun and with like this emotional experience that you have with it, it really sticks with you. And so I always was interested in playing and learning and putting these things back together. And I was fascinated by the computer, so I started doing this on the computer. And I was so fascinated in learning that I became a professor and wanted to teach people how to make computer games, and that's what I do today. And it's great fun, and it's a lot of work though. It's really hard to do computer games. If you want to do this, you have to really know a lot of things. It's not enough to know programming, it's not enough to know art, it's not enough to know psychology, you need to know everything to a certain extent. And then you find experts who are more deeply involved in some of the subjects there. If you want to create serious games, I also did, besides games, I did a lot of training software. My nicest, well, in financial terms, very nicest customer was Mercedes. And so I did a lot of learning software from them, for them. And so I really learned also the structural side of learning, besides that fun part of gaming and creating games. And when you want to create a serious games, I think there's a wide span of things you can do. And these poles, I think the opposites are like kind of a behavioral approach. So you could actually create a system and then feed that system with content. And for example, like create a quiz game. Okay, it's a game, it's kind of fun, it's okay. You can collect points and things like that. You can collect awards. And that system is basically agnostic to the content. You can fill in all kinds of content, okay? So that is one point where you could start. And the other way, all the way to the other end, is you really get to know the subject that you want to teach. Okay, and you really dive into this, and you find the playful activities that may be hidden in there. Okay, so here you have like a game system, you feed it with content. Here you have content, and you try to find the gamey parts in there. Okay, and that's what I did a lot. I had to dive into the subjects. It was mostly technical stuff, which was kind of easy to do, okay? So you could create like virtual models of things, and then you could have people experiment with them. And they worked if you did it right, or they failed, or they even exploded if you did it wrong, whatever, right? Things that are fun, but you were interacting with the model of your content. Games are always simulations, okay? No matter what game you do, it's a simulation of the game world, okay? And it's just, like in Candy Crush, it's very limited what you can do. The world is functioned with very simple rules, right? But you have to learn them, and then they're consistent, and you can play with that world, and you know how it works. And then there are like these huge open source games, which are vast, and you can do so many things, and then you can explore this world. So what you need to do is actually take your content and then choose where can you go. Should you be more on an abstract side concerning the game part, or do you want to be more on a concrete side? Do you really want to take this subject and find the games that you can play with this? You can do this also with all kinds of subjects. In technical parts, or technical subjects, you could probably break it down into parts and have people assemble it in the correct way and then play around with that. If it's more like a subject in a social setting, maybe you can create something with the dialogues that you can choose from, like in an adventure game. Or role-playing game where you select what you want to ask, and then you get the reaction. So you have to model that the world in that way. Or if you have, like, let's say, history, and it's more about learning facts from the past, you could go in a quiz game. When did this happen? When was King whatever, when did he die? Okay, that's good for a quiz game, but it's boring. Rather, maybe you assassinate that king, right, at the right moment, and you play history. So what I want you just to encourage is, I think you all know games. We just heard it. Basically, everybody plays games. I think you all know games. Now, I would suggest pick subjects that you're interested in, something that you think, oh, that would be great to have a game for this. And then agree in your group to the subject, let's work on that. And then go into that subject and try to find things you could possibly do with it. You can always fall back to like the quiz type of game. Okay, you can always, that's always a fallback. If you can't come up with anything else, that's what you can do. But first of all, try to find the things that may be playful and that people can experiment with, things that can go wrong or right, you can break, or you can succeed, okay? So that's a big part of trying to create serious games, is really go deep into the subject, break it down in its parts, and then see how you can reassemble the parts in a virtual setting. Was that an impulse for you?
I think so.
And I'm here and you can ask me all the time and I will try to help.